Am I really thriving? I thought I was thriving. I was before he became the president. It's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Pretty purposeful, pretty purposeful, pretty purposeful, pretty purposeful, pretty purposeful, pretty purposeful. Tired of wasting all my life, think it's time I get it right. Tired of wasting all my life, think it's time I get it right. Tired of wasting all my life, think it's time I get it right. Welcome back, Purposeful Family. Oh my goodness. Happy Sunday. Happy spring. What do they call it? Spring equinox. Y'all, I'm trying. Okay. So don't come in here judging me because as y'all know, life is life and for all of us right now. Okay. So give your girl a little bit of grace. I've been really tired, y'all. Honestly, I know I promised that I would be here weekly and I'm a couple days over that. Okay. So let's see. Episode 1 of season 6 was a subtle drop, a silent drop, and that dropped on, I want to say that was the evening of the 12th. And today is the 23rd. No, actually, excuse me, it's 22nd. So tomorrow's the 23rd. So 10 days, y'all. So a little over a week. I'm 3 days late. Lo siento. I'm sorry. But that's what I wanted to talk to y'all about tonight. Y'all know in season 5, I spoke a lot about pivoting. Everybody and every entity is having to pivot. It's a choice. You don't have to, but it is wise to choose to be, to pivot. Now, where you pivot to, that's going to be your own personal, discovery that you need to make for yourself and to determine what steps are needed to be able to purposefully pivot. That was my first season as a solo host again, and just trying to reposition myself, the podcast, after having to co-host and just the dynamic changing. So it's going to take some time, to figure out what works for me and what works for this community that is still being built. We're still in the beginning phases of building this community. And I know I have to attribute the slow progress to just the way that I have chosen to roll this podcast out. It's never been about keeping up with the trends of podcasting. It's never been about competing with other content creators. It really was just about creating a platform that I could have a space that's safe, that I can share my experiences and help other people and share my wisdom and knowledge and resources and on my own terms. Of course, YouTube has their terms, which is another thing. For me to be in this now going on a little over 2 years, I'm still not really that familiar with all of YouTube's community guidelines, to be honest with you. Just keeping it real. So I'm just kind of learning this thing as I go. But just like everything else is going on in our world right now, we have to be very flexible. If you're not able to quickly shift and change, then the things around you, it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to really stretch you and challenge you. And I know for me personally, I welcome change because that's really all I've known all my life. Anybody who's grown up in an unstable environment, you're used to change. So what's happening right now in the world is not really bothering me. But I will say that for the most part, I know I'm not alone in this, but any content creator, really anybody who has plans, who already had plans in place for the next 3 to 5 years. When Trump got in office, everything changed. No matter really what role you have, you are going to have to shift in that space. So if you're a content creator or if you're a professional, if you're an entertainer, even if you're in the nonprofit space, just everybody, every space is definitely having to shift. So let's have grace for one another. As much as I want this to be a weekly segment, I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go live and talk about whatever it is I was going to talk about. See, the way that the podcast worked before I had a co-host, I was just doing episodes via audio. And I was heavily on, Spotify. I hadn't even transitioned those audio episodes onto YouTube at that time. So I was only on Spotify. And then I, expanded and added Apple and Amazon. But it was just audio. And I had only did one season that way. And at the very end of season 1, I met Candace. And I, I'd always wanted to get on camera, but I figured, it would be awesome to have a co-host, to have some banter and to, have these conversations come to life. Because with me, it's just my perspective. But having someone with a different perspective would, kind of, mix things up, add more value to the platform. So a lot of what we did required structure because we're two women who had careers. We don't live close to one another. So there's a lot of planning and preparation. When I became a solo host in season 5, I realized that I would be pretty much taking on a lot of the admin stuff, a lot of the editing, a lot of the, marketing, everything. What I hadn't taken into account was a lot of the planning that we had did for the episodes around the content. I wasn't going to be able to continue that way. And here's why. By the time I get done researching the topic and putting together a process agenda so that things, flow seamlessly, by the time I do all of that, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I still got to put makeup on, put a wig on. And, I don't know if you guys, those of you who have been watching the podcast, y'all know that me and my co-host, we used to coordinate. It was a big thing for us. Like, getting the episode prepared was all of that. And so now that it's just me by myself, there's just too many moving pieces for me to operate the way that I was before. So I feel like this season and going forward, instead of me being like a curator of content, I am just going to be creating content. And then from that, I'm then going to repurpose and use that content in other spaces like TikTok and Instagram. Again, welcome. If you're new here, definitely hit the subscribe button. Come on, be a part of this purposeful family that is growing. If you are part of our purposeful family, go ahead and hit the like button. As you guys can see, I don't have my late night talk show background. Y'all, I love that background, late night talk show vibe. It was, season 5, that was the vision. Now I just feel like I need to, I don't want to say be more authentic because y'all, I am authentic, but I think I'm just opening myself up a little bit more is what it is. Just opening myself up a little bit more, being a little bit more vulnerable in these internet streets. I really, really, really don't want to per se, but I understand that this is the way that communities are being built. This is the way that movements are being started and mobilization is happening. So it's either I sit by and be silent or I adapt and keep it moving, keep doing what it is that I know I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, we're here. As you can see, this is my home. This is my real home. I'm in my dining room. If I'm not doing the podcast and I'm going on live, it's going to be on TikTok and it's going to be from my closet. And so like just earlier today, I was doing my hair in my closet. And I'm so used to going on TikTok in my closet. It's like either when I go on TikTok, I'm either in my closet or I am singing. It seems like TikTok, I haven't really tried to build a community per se. It takes a lot of time. It really does. I truly do respect the content creators who are consistent, who have, put the work in, who have built up their audience. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. And I can sit here and honestly say, I just don't have the time. I've said this before, and those of you who are new, this is not my main thing, so it does become a challenge to remain consistent, but I'm very intentional. I don't intend on this podcast going anywhere. As long as I have a voice, I need a platform, okay? So I assure you, Pretty Purposeful Podcast is not going anywhere. It may take different shapes and forms over the course of the years, but as everything evolves, it has to evolve. And right now it's evolving organically around circumstances that are not normal. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this mess of a world we live in. It's weird how while all this destruction and all this dark stuff is happening on the other side of the globe. I'm over here, just safe, secure. I can't really say thriving, but I want to say thriving because I know that I'm doing better than some people. So it's a challenge every day to wake up and be like, am I really thriving? I thought I was thriving. I was, before he became the president, I was definitely, on the precipice of some success. And now that things have taken a swift turn and they keep on turning, it's like that goalpost we talk about. The goalpost keeps on moving when things like this distraction of a war that's happening right now, it has caused the goalpost to move for not just African Americans and minorities in America, but for everybody. Every working citizen right now has had to reframe, any type of goals that they had, any immediate goals that they had before he became president. Now, I mean, people are changing jobs, moving states, selling, liquidating assets. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. But I will say that, just like anything else, you don't want to overwhelm yourself with what's going on right now. It is a lot. You definitely want to stay informed. So I do check in, but I cannot just be consumed with this war. It's weird because, like, in a way, this war and all the different policies have changed very quickly, but I feel like it has caused us to have to slow down. Like, people are being more cautious of how they're spending, where they're going, what plans they're making. They're being cautious about dating. Let's not forget. Dating already sucked before Trump was in office. So now that he's in office, dating probably sucks even more. I wouldn't know because I'm not out there in the field, but that is a real thing, that relationships are still affected by what's happening and things have just slowed down. The world is moving at a pace, just waiting to see what next, what next. But you still have to continue moving, right? It was kind of part of the issue, I believe, like ever since the pandemic. Once, businesses got back up and running, we had all this PPP loans out there in the economy circulating, these stimulus checks and people investing in businesses and investing in fraudulent scam type businesses, but nevertheless, putting money into the economy. And so because of that, our economy was moving rapidly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was to a point where at one point it was just like, okay, what are we doing right now? Things are moving so quickly that even the government can't keep up with, the new technology, just different things that are advancing quicker than the laws can actually regulate. So it's getting a little scary. You have all these different business models popping up and people buying into them and then becoming mainstream before they've ever even been regulated or, is this even legal? The person who developed this, did they even know? Did they do their checks and balances, or they just ran with it and it became viral? And we're seeing that happen. Those of us who are seasoned, as mature people who have seen the different scams over the years, we sit back. I know me personally, I sit back and I watch, the young people that are out there that are the experts when it comes to digital, marketing and digital products, right? They're experts because they grew up on the internet, but they're not experts when it comes to business. They're not experts when it comes to legalities and doing business globally. You're on the internet, you're doing business through the internet, you're dealing with people in different regions and they have different laws, and it's a lot. And I just feel like when one person sells it as a lucrative business model, lucrative product, next thing you know, it's the thing. It takes off so quickly before anybody could ever even say whether it's legal or not. And so we're seeing a lot of people kind of coming out of those type of situations, whether it be they're having to pay back money or they're having to do time. Like, a lot of that is being exposed. That's also going on right now. As the economy is being impacted by this war, as people are losing jobs, gas prices are up, everything is going up. Like, now people are very skeptical about where their money's going. People aren't so quick to jump and, invest in that program or that course, because is that course going to help them pay their rent next month? how quickly of a return on that investment are they going to get if they buy into your product or your course? I'm kind of all over the place, y'all. We talking about the war without talking about like the war, right? I really don't have much to say about it other than it needs to end like yesterday. That's really all I have to say about it. But what I do want to talk about on this channel is how the war is affecting us, everyday citizens, what it looks like, what it feels like. At the end of the day, this is just for informational purposes. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a pundit. My commentary is going to be very raw. Gonna be very, very raw on this channel. That's another thing too. Usually when I do the podcast, I don't have like full-on scripts, but I will say that I typically have like a prompt, or I may have a blurb or something, and then I kind of build on that. And right now, this is me 100% freestyle. So what you're getting, you can expect to get this version going forward, which is really me. This is who I am. Don't get me wrong. When I'm around certain groups, I'm a little bit more looser, laver, a little funner, a little bit ratchet. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I take pride in being a woman of class, a woman of integrity. And I'm a professional. So I am a proponent for growth and learning and unlearning and becoming better versions of ourselves. But this is, who I am, like all of that. And this platform, one thing that I will say I'm proud of myself for doing is incorporating all of the parts of me in this platform. And that is authenticity. On this podcast, I've been able to speak about topics that I'm passionate about, topics that I've experienced, things that I've overcome, things that I'm still living through, things that we all are living through. But I'm able to present it in a way, intellectually, but then also give you that raw commentary. I'm a around the way girl. I grew up in the hood, so I got a little bit of best of both worlds. Like I grew up in the hood and was able to see firsthand what poverty looks like. I was able to see gang violence. I lost a lot of friends, to gang violence. I don't really talk about it, but y'all, I lost a lot of friends. Rest in peace to my homies. I became, a product of my environment, made some poor choices as a youngster, was really a good kid, just didn't have the support, the guidance, the parental guidance, didn't have other avenues or other, options. There weren't many options. You go to school, you come home, what you see in the hood is, you either choose to engage. If you don't engage, they will make you engage. You're going to engage one way or another when you live in that hood. And so I have that perspective, but I overcame that. I overcame the mentality that is mostly survivorship, poverty mindset, fixed mindset, not having a growth mindset, not being able to see beyond, my circumstances. I was able to overcome all that and walk away from people I love, people I care about, just so that I can have a better life for my daughter, so I could be an example for someone, for many, actually. So yeah, on this channel, on this platform, I've been able to bring all of that. I've been able to share my gift of singing, my gift of acting. I'm not a comedian, but I've always been a silly girl. These cheeks, God knew what he was doing when he gave me these cheeks. This smile right here. Our Heavenly Father knew what he was doing, because how dare I have cheeks like this and not smile? How dare I smile like this and not like humor? I'm a silly girl. I am. I will always be that. I think through life experiences, sometimes that innocent side of me, that humorous, vulnerable side, sometimes gets dimmed or overshadowed, but it's still in me. And I don't really think I've had the chance to truly tap into it all the way, although this platform has allowed me to, and I'm so grateful for that. What else? Philanthropy, volunteerism, supporting the community, going out, connecting with community leaders, those who are like-minded, those who are putting in the work, making the contributions to make our communities better, safer, just really the pillars. And those are my people. So I'm doing my best using this platform to try to share what I have, share the insight, share the wisdom, share the experiences, share the love. I have a lot of love in my heart. I have a lot of love for humanity. I'm pro-human. Okay, I don't care. Pro-human. Nevertheless, y'all, just thinking about how this war is affecting us and how we have to be willing to shift and make some changes, and don't allow the darkness of this war to cloud, your vision, the thing that God put you here to do. You still can do it. You just have to be flexible. You have to be willing to shift some things. And even if it's just for a season. Do I think this podcast is going to shift and take another turn sometime in the future? Probably, yeah. I do. I truly do. Just because I'm a creative, that's what I do. I'm going to keep on thinking of ways to deliver quality content to the people. I wanted to just talk about that and just let you know, if you're someone like me who's trying to figure this all out, you're not alone. Don't be ashamed. Don't let nobody make you feel bad. Like I said, I made a huge commitment by saying I was going to do a weekly breakdown. I want to be here weekly, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have said I was going to do it. So I do want to be here weekly. And instead of me doing a filming and then an editing and then a publishing, I'm just going to come to y'all live, and I'm going to come to y'all raw. This is me. This is me, Angie Melange. This is me. If you've been following me on TikTok, you probably have already connected with this version of me, which is a little bit more carefree. I think whenever I was trying to film, there were so many things I was trying to accomplish on the episode to make sure I got everything I needed in there before I stopped filming, that it's like, now, if I get it in this episode, I get it in. If I don't, maybe I'll talk about it next episode. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm going to talk about whatever's on my heart and on my mind, on my spirit, every time I show up here, that's for sure. And then if there's anything that y'all want me to talk about, or if there's anything that I feel would be beneficial, definitely going to bring that to you. Y'all can see I'm tired. Look at my eyes. I'm tired. I'm so tired. I need to take my ass to sleep.